This is incredible. Now we can create a team of AI agents using OpenAI Swarm. I built one agent which converts natural language to SQL queries and runs them against our donations database. Another agent can send email to donors based on specific criteria. For example, if a donor has not donated for a specific time period, we can create a re-engagement email and send that to donor. This is what we are going to create in this video. Let's get started. Hello all, this is Talagalani and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, OpenAI recently launched a multi-agent orchestration framework called Swarm. So here we can see that Swarm is an education framework and it is currently in an experimental phase. It has only been 2 weeks and it is getting great traction. So if you have worked with tools like CrewAI, LangGraph, you can think of this as a smaller subset of those frameworks as of now. So here we can see that it has a great documentation and examples for different use cases like triage agent, weather agent, and so on. So Swarm has two main concepts, routines and handoffs. A routine means that we provide special instructions and the functions to the agent that it needs to perform the job. And handoff means that based on the user query, how the triage or orchestrator agent intelligently delegates the job to the specific agent that is designed to handle such query. So in this case, we can see in order to understand the routine that the weather assistant has special instructions to perform the job related to weather. So for the functions that it needs to call is get weather. Internally, it could call a third-party API to get weather details of a specific city or any area that we receive in the query. And for the handoffs, we can see that based on the user query, like what is the weather in New York, the triage agent intelligently understands that, okay, this is the job for the weather agent. It is specialized to do the specific job. Now let's move on to the architecture of what we will be building today. We will be building 3 agents. One is the orchestration manager or triage agent, which delegates the job to the specialized agents based on the user query. This converts the user's natural language to the SQL queries and run those queries against the SQLite 3 database. For this video, we created mock data. This is the email agent. It crafts the email and sends to the donor based on different scenarios. For example, if we find that a donor has donated more this year than previous year, we can send a thank you note to this donor. Now let's dive into the code. So for this project, you would require OpenAI API key, which you can purchase from platform.openai.com. Once you have that API key, you can rename this file to .env and place the API key here. So here we have the donation schema, where we have donors table, campaigns table, payment methods, donations, like that. And for the mock data, these are all the insertions. Now in order to load the data, we have loaddata.py. What it does is it creates a database called donations.db and it first creates the schema and then it inserts all the mock data. So this is main.py. The first thing we have is SQL executor. It gets the SQL query from the agent and runs it against the DB and prettifies the response as a string and returns to the agent. Here we initialize the executor. So these are the tools, and send email to donor is for the email agent. Currently for demonstration, we have mocked it, but we can add actual APIs for sending the email. So this is the run SQL statement, which the donations agent would run. So the donations agent would first convert the natural language to the SQL and then run this function. Then we have the instructions. So these are the special instructions for the email agent. And then we have the donations agent instructions. So here we are giving all the table schema to this so that based on these schema, it can generate the SQL query, which is valid and relevant based on the user's query. So these are the agents. The first we have orchestrator agent, specific instructions, the donation agent, the email agent. These are the handoffs. Based on the user query, how it delegates the responsibility to the specialized agents. And here, if the specialized agent is unable to respond to the query, it transfers the control back to the orchestrator. So here we are just making sure that all the agents have their functions. So here run demo loop creates a ChatGPT like UI at the terminal. So our first step would be to create a virtual environment. So environment is created, let's activate it. These are the packages that we would need to install. So we will install them. Requirements.txt. Okay, so packages are installed. Now we will create and populate the DB, load data, run, done. Now let's start the application. Let's ask the first query, who donated least in last 5 years? So here we can see that the orchestrator agent delegated the responsibility to the donation agent, which converted the natural language who donated least in last 5 years to SQL query, and it ran it against a DB. The first one had an issue, so it tried again by creating another query and it ran it against a DB again. So here we can see that the result is the donor who donated the least in last 5 years is John Doe with a total of $175 donated. So we will verify this information against the DB. Let's do SQLite 3. We will do .open donations.db and then we'll run this query against the DB. Okay, so the least is John Doe and it is 175. Now we will ask, can you provide that donor's name and email address? Okay, so we have the email address, which is john.doe@email.com. Okay, now we want to create a re-engagement email that we can send to that donor. The re-engagement email. Okay, so it created a re-engagement email template. Subject, we miss you, John. Let's make an impact together. It has all the professional email stuff. Now let's ask it, send this email to donor. Here you can see that when we ask send this email to donor, the donation agent delegated the responsibility back to the orchestrator because this thing is not its domain. The orchestrator agent delegated the responsibility to the email agent. Here you can see that it sent all the necessary details to this function send email to donor, and the re-engagement email has been successfully sent to John Doe at johndoeemail.com. So this is the function that is being run. Obviously we can add APIs to make it more professional, but isn't this amazing? So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine what can you achieve with a team of all these AI agents. So that was it for today's video. If you liked the video, please share, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.